Okay, so this is my first fly tying video. I'm going to be tying this craft fur baitfish, baby bass, craft fur baby bass, and this is going to be my first fly tying video ever, and I hope you enjoy it. But I'm going to be doing more fly tying videos. They are mostly going to be warm water and bigger baits until I get a better camera where you can see smaller baits, because I bet you probably might even have trouble seeing this one. You'll be able to see how to do it, but I'll get some closer shots and stuff like that so you can see it better, but that's really it. I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so this is all we're going to need to make a perfect 3.5 inch bait fish for bass. We got number 4 long shank hooks, black chenille, black thread, white craft fur, and olive craft fur. Alright, so we're going to take this is I think I said size 4, but this is actually a size 2. And it's an extra long size 2, or not extra long, but a long shank size 2. So we're going to start our thread. It's a black thread right up in the front, about 2 eye lengths behind, and just take it all the way back to where the tail is going to be. Got a squeaky bobbin right now. I don't know why I didn't switch that out, but I did. So then we're going to take our olive craft fur. We don't need too much of it, just a small clump for the tail. Strip out the under fur. And yeah, that one right there. And then you want it about just barely longer than what the hook shank is. Start it more up here so I can don't have it splaying everywhere. And hold it up, keep it on top of the shank, and go right down to the bottom. Go back up and bury this very front part in. I know you can't see much of it, but there's our tail. And then I'll take about a 4 or 5 inch piece of this black chenille. And just tie it in right behind the tail. This black chenille does too well down to the cotton core. It's kind of stiff, but on most you'll be able to strip it down to the cotton core better, and you won't have a bump at all. This one will just barely have a bump. But then I'll just take this back to my initial tie-in point, which is 2 eye lengths behind the eye, and wrap the chenille just all the way up. This will act as the lateral line, because this pattern is supposed to imitate a baby bass. It's about, once we'll finish, it'll be about 3.5 inches long, any size, but this is pretty much the ideal size for most bass. The ideal size for most bass. Tie that down in. Snip that out. Yep, usually about a 4 inch length of chenille will cover this long shank perfectly. We'll do that. Then we'll take another clump of our olive craft fur here. Without the under fur, so we don't get a huge head on it. And just take that about halfway back to the tail. If you can see, that's about halfway back to the tail right here. Snip off all the extra and just tie that in. See that? It's not much, but it'll do. We don't want this to be too bulky. Alright, so we're at this point to where we have the green craft fur on top. Now we're going to put the white craft fur as our belly. take out a clump of white craft fur just like that, and strip out the underfur, throw it away. Measure out about right there is about halfway down the tail. I'll tie this one in just like that, get a couple loose wraps on it so it's splaying like that. Take it back. And let's take this and put this with smaller scissors. Like this, right? I got a little cleanup to do, but that'll be fine. Probably should have pre-snipped that before I tied it in, now that I think about it, but I'm gonna do another clump of white. If you I probably could have just done bigger clumps, but you know, it's better to underestimate with this stuff than overestimate, because you don't want to have something way too bulky. Notice there's the white. I'll stick in another clump of that. Trim that off like I probably should have the last time. And stick that right up here. There. That's a little tilted to my side. I'll spin it around a little bit. But yeah, you get a little more of a belly on it, and then I'll go back in with my olive craft fur and add more to the top too. Always strip out the underfur, because it builds up on you really quick if you don't. This one I'll probably actually do. I didn't say it last time. I did a little bit shorter than my first clump of white on the bottom, and I'll do this one a little bit shorter of my first clump of olive on the back. I keep forgetting to trim it off. Alright, so I keep making this same video, but the audio keeps cutting out. So I finished it, I whip finished it, left a big head enough to where I put down a circle of white, and then I'm going to put down a smaller circle of black in the middle on the big head, and then I'm going to base coat it all to lock it in for, it's about 3.5 inches. It's a baby bass lure, so I don't really know if this one's going to work either, but the audio keeps cutting out. So here it is, that after I painted the eyes on, as you can see right there, and then put the base coat on, makes it shiny and clear. It's about 3.5 inches long. Now that, it doesn't look like much, but this will definitely catch bass, especially in like ponds and lakes and slower creeks. I probably wouldn't use it in like faster moving water, just because the craft fur is so floppy that it'll all just like push over like that and in the current. But there it is. That's my craft fur baitfish, baby bass. There it is. That's the baby bass craft fur baitfish.